Hello, good morning, everyone. So, I don't know if people have witnessed this segment of CNN where they have, they, as in the Trump administration, is putting a travel ban on most of these countries are African countries. And so, this is a short clip, and I want you to see this, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it, which are going to be brief and really direct as to what I feel it is. But here it goes right here.
Has long considered itself a strong ally of the United States, which is why news that had been added to the travel ban came as a shock in Africa's most populous country and largest economy. Officials here immediately pointed to Nigeria's partnership with the US in its fight against terrorism as a reason against adding the country to the travel ban list. But the country's ties extend far beyond that, as well as being a strong military partner and ally in Nigeria's fight against terror group Boko Haram. The US is also a major trading partner with Nigeria and has diplomatic relations going back to the 1960s. The Trump administration has defended the expanded travel ban, saying it is important for national security and that some of these countries simply have not met US security standards. President Buhari's administration has responded by setting up a committee to work with the US government and Interpol to ensure that Nigeria complies with global security standards, a spokesman said in a statement. Nigeria remains committed to maintaining productive relations with the United States and other international allies, especially on matters of global security. Still, on the streets of Lagos and across Africa, the ban has been met with anger and disbelief.
That's absurd. It shouldn't fly. We should be allowed to go into the United States. What about those that want to do business and also do trade and very important stuff there?
When it was first introduced 3 years ago, the travel ban quickly became known as the Muslim ban by the president's critics. The expanded ban, which now includes Nigeria, Eritrea, Tanzania, and Sudan, has now been dubbed the African ban because it primarily targets African nations. US lawmakers have criticized the expansion as discriminatory and racist. Joe Neguse, a Colorado Democrat in the US Congress, lashed out at the ban on Twitter, saying, "As a son of Eritrean refugees, let me be clear. The president's travel ban on African countries contradicts our American values and the promise and refuge our country has offered to immigrants and refugees for centuries. It is wrong and we must oppose it." The ban does not affect non-immigrant visas issued for tourism, medical, or educational reasons, but American citizens with spouses in these countries may now find it difficult to apply for their partner to join them in the US. Stephanie Bosari, CNN Lagos.
Okay, so let me see if I can stop this video. Okay, I believe I stopped it. It was going to a commercial. So I agree with the Representative Joe Negushi. I don't Negusi. If I said it right or if I didn't say it correctly, um, sorry about that. But I agree with the representative that spoke of the travel ban as being racist. I believe that's what it is. I don't feel that that they were, well, in my opinion, let me say this, I don't feel that there were any dangers that present a threat. I just feel as though that there's something going on and we're not, as citizens or people who are just civilians, are not really being told the full extent of why this travel ban is on. I feel like there's more to the story than what is happening. That I really agree with the representative at the end of this video who said that it was a racist move, and I really believe that's what it is. I believe that there was a prejudice in the Muslim ban. Um, I don't believe that all Muslims are terrorists, and I don't believe that all people that come from different countries are a threat to the U.S. Um, I just believe that there are some people that have issues that we're as citizens in the U.S. not full aware of, and some people will express those issues in constructive ways, while others are more militant and extreme, involved in extremism. But we have extremism here in the U.S. We have homegrown terrorism. We have people that are U.S. citizens that will listen, and they will become indoctrinated to religious cults and whatever it is that they worship, or whomever it is that they worship, or whatever, if it's a person, if it's a statue, if it's a belief that they are a part of, or worship, or a group, a cult, sometimes that will breed um, people who have, maybe they have had PTSD, or they've seen something really violent, or they had an experience of people that are not aware of. They have mental disorder, and then you mix that mental disorder with a cult, and then it possibly could breed, as a result, homegrown terrorists. And so a lot of that sometimes can happen right here in the US. And so I don't feel like banning these countries is going to stop terrorism completely, if that's one of the reasons for it. But I know there were some other reasons that they gave, which to me I don't feel like are really valid reasons to put a travel ban on these countries. But I feel like a lot of it has to do with racism, and a lot of things that have happened with this particular administration. The Trump administration, it seems like it is sort of, I won't even say sort of, it has been like really racial, really highly racialized in a lot of politics today. And so that's where we're getting a lot of this. So that's my opinion. And I was going to make this really short, so this is probably not going beyond 20 minutes. I just wanted you to see that. I know I saw that clip from CNN, and I was thinking, it just seems to me like it's racist. Now there is a pandemic, and this is aside from this video right here. Right now in China, there's the worry about the carnivorous. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know if even if I go over here, because I'm looking up here right now and it says China, and I bet that's the first thing I'm going to see is the pandemic about the virus. And so that's a big thing right now. And so that seems to be, the numbers of deaths seem to be rising in China right now. And there have been some reported cases here in the U.S. about the virus. And so that has been an issue. And so a lot of people are worried about that. It says, who says Wuhan coronavirus or coronavirus? Okay. Outbreak is not yet a pandemic. Okay. Well, they've declared it a pandemic. And so I don't know if this video is playing or not. If this is a video, it may be just a still picture. Looks like it's a video. but I was listening to this as well, and so there's a lot of hysteria around it. There was a woman who said she worked, a person the, who said that she worked at the airport at LAX, and she said that there's a lot of hysteria around this virus right now. I don't know if there's a travel ban on those countries. I'm just bringing that out here because what I've been hearing is that certain people have been quarantined. I didn't hear anything about travel bans.
History.
I didn't hear anything about travel bans. I heard quarantine. Quarantine is a lot different than a travel ban. It's like they're quarantining people who they presume are sick with this virus. And so, I don't know. I'm going to play this clip because I think it might relate to what is going on right now with this virus. And so, let me see if I can backtrack it. Because I think I turned off the sound. But anyway, this is going to be about the travel ban in Africa, the African countries, and then the other part of the video is going to be about the virus, which is now being called a pandemic. And this woman was saying that worked at LAX, and going back to that she noticed that her daughter was getting sick, and she didn't know if she brought something home from LAX because she works at LAX. And so she was worried because she's in a place where it's really a lot of people coming from different countries traveling. And so she was worried by being an employee at LAX that she might bring home some of what could possibly be the virus to her family, which I thought was a good question, as the people who work at LAX, the people who work at environments where there's a high population of people coming from these countries could be at risk for unknowingly transmitting it to other innocent people. Even they're innocent and they're not even aware. They may not even be aware they have it, and they think it's just a regular cold, and it develops into this virus. So anyway, I'm gonna play this video. I think it's 2 minutes long. So let me play this video now.
$50 and $100 million people around the world. And experts warn it's just a matter of time until another strikes.
Pandemics happen relatively often. It is likely.
This video doesn't play as well as the first one. So I guess it's the fear about the pandemic, of something spreading relatively fast.
That we will see another one within our lifetime.
If we do see another pandemic, it could have disastrous consequences, with up to 80 million people at risk of dying and 5% of the world's economy at risk of being wiped out, according to one report. But what is a pandemic? To understand that, we need to first understand where the...
Doesn't play as well, sorry for that, but you can hear some of it, and so that's the fear
start
that people have right now.
Infection in a localized area. A pandemic is when that infection spreads to multiple countries around the world.
And while...
So you heard that a pandemic is when that disease or that virus,
on one hand, we're better
spreads
protected than
to multiple
before.
countries.
On the other, our changing society brings together a host of other challenges.
In this day and age, all you need is one person at the airport, and you can infect the whole world.
The majority of pandemics to date have been strains of influenza, though pandemics can be any type of infection, usually a virus. Many new or novel viruses come from animals. They can pass onto humans after close contact, in a process called zoonotic spillover.
And when that happens, sometimes the virus is not very transmissible because it's suited to circulating only in animals. But sometimes we see ones that can transmit from person to person, and they can be quite efficient at doing this. And in that case, an outbreak can become an epidemic as it grows, and there's a chance that it could spread more widely.
This is what happened in the 2009 swine flu pandemic. A pig influenza virus moved into people. Pig viruses are similar to human viruses, and that allowed human-to-human transmission to happen quicker. More than a decade has passed since the 2009 pandemic, and the world's population has grown, as have the risks of passing viruses between people.
We're getting more and more people on the planet. We're having more and more globalization. People are traveling from country to country more than ever before. So these are the kind of things that will cause pandemics to happen.
A growing population and increased globalization aren't the only risks. Climate change causing an increase in global temperature thaws permafrost, which could in turn release viruses that are effectively new to our generation. While there's no guarantee the next pandemic will be as bad as the Spanish flu pandemic, there is every chance it still could be.
There are lots of strains of avian flu circulating in China right now. At any minute, any one of those could jump to a human and be the next Spanish flu. It could really happen.
Medicine, technology, and communication have all improved with time, and serious outbreaks require international cooperation. But experts say the real question isn't if a new pandemic strikes, but instead how bad it could be.
Okay. I hope this stops it. But what do you think about that? I'm sorry to scare you with this pandemic stuff, but I thought about that because when the woman was explaining to us that she worked at LAX and her daughter got really, really ill with a fever, and the fever was just there. I mean, it seemed like it took, a long time to cut that fever, and she couldn't bring her kid back to school. I was thinking, that is scary. You worry. And then she was worried because she felt like she was coming down with something as well. So this coronavirus has got a lot of people scared. And it was at 300 people that died in China, and now it's up to 400. And now I think it's even beyond that number. And so it's steadily climbing. And I don't know if you all saw that it took like 10 days for the workmen in China to build like a hospital to treat people with the coronavirus. So it was pretty serious. And so there's people that are from the US that have traveled and they are quarantined and they're stuck in a place, I believe in Wuhan, I said Wuhan, I believe it is, and they are there. And so, coronavirus whistleblower doctor being treated for virus, okay, and so anybody that's come in contact or they've been in that country, they get quarantined. They take their temperature. There was a guy, I think he was on the news. He's a U.S. Citizen, and I believe he's a U.S. citizen. There was a mother and her child who they were kind of stuck in an area, and they were quarantining these people. But notice with this virus, you notice there's no travel ban. I didn't hear anything about a travel ban. I don't know if anybody heard that. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But there's a travel ban on all these African countries. I just want you to think about that. But anyway, it's just crazy. It's like a lot of stuff is happening. But, like the woman was saying, that at any point, a pandemic can happen relatively quickly. Having said that, I'm going to let this video go. What are your thoughts on this? Is it going to get any worse? Are there going to be more people that are going to die? I think maybe there's going to be more deaths, and I think there's going to be a larger number that is going to come out eventually, and we'll hear about it probably before the end of the week. Thanks for listening.